I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my...
Open up the first AMA/podcast/get to know each other that we're having with Xperience Online. We have Shint and Dylan here, very well-known, reputable characters in the Web2 industry and moving, pursuing the new Web3 wave and building out an infrastructure for digital assets and commerce. And, just to start, we can get to know the guys a bit and hear a bit of their backstory and their experience with all of this technology and scaling these to be very efficient and just moving forward with the whole Web3 trend. So, Shint, bro, tell us a little bit about yourself.
It's awesome to do introductions because you get to hear it for the first time again, right? You do it over and over again. For me, I'll make this more relatable because there's a lot of awesome things I've done that I'll touch on, but I would say all of this really started with my fascination of technology. Getting my first computer when I was 5, right? Didn't really have extended family or anything like that, so getting a computer when I was 5 meant I was on the computer every single day, hours on end. By the time I was 7, I had the internet, and I was always just fascinated with tech. I would explore, I would draw things in Paint. That led to going online and figuring out emulators and ROMs and just doing everything you can imagine online. And this sort of stuck with me throughout my life as I started to develop into a teen and an early adult. I always found a computer and a room was almost like my safe space, my comfort zone. It's almost like through the computer you could access any point in the world. You can discover knowledge. You can acquire information. You can learn about the future. You can go into things like YouTube and search Earth year 3000, and you can expand your mind and your consciousness and your awareness. So, as I started to go deeper into tech and started going into adulthood, there was sort of a disconnect of get a job and build my career, and also what I loved and what was pulling me. So eventually, by the time I got to about 25, I found myself, leaving a civil engineering career, getting fully into personal training, still questioning, like, is this it? Is this the epitome of my life? Do I just become an online trainer and sell programs? And then I got into my first sort of tech startup. That just happened by bouncing ideas with a person that shared common interests, a guy called Joe at the time, drawing a couple things on a whiteboard, and then ending up with some sort of a MVP and a prototype, which was a augmented reality solution where we were gamifying fitness. So we had these smart glasses, people would chuck them on, there's different game modes, squat shooter, runner, and you would pretty much just get points over a certain period of time. So that run of that startup really opened my mind and my awareness to, okay, an idea can actually materialize into a business, and not just like a coffee shop, but like a Facebook. You can actually impact and shift the narrative and the direction of humanity in the world. So long story short, that led to me empowering other people, becoming a business coach or coaching other entrepreneurs and helping them with their startups. And then that startup itch started to happen again with me in 2020. So being locked down and helping all of these people, I could sort of feel it bubbling up again, and I could see a shifting of the tide with the lockdowns and with COVID, with the next bull run of cryptocurrency, with a record of sales when it came to the Oculus virtual reality headset. I could sense what was coming, and that sort of started my exploration into building a virtual reality visualization solution where someone would chuck on a headset, visualize a penthouse and spend time there. That then evolving into a self-development app where you can meditate and you can get points. And then that got me looking into how do we turn these points into actual currency? How do we create a token? What is an ICO? What is a TGE? What is this? And that's when I started connecting with Dylan more so, and that small vision, as it got bigger and bigger, he almost had a vision of his own, and it almost aligned, perfectly. And that's when sort of Dylan came on board, and Xperience has sort of grown into what it is now. And it's probably a perfect segue.
Yeah, it is. It is.
What's your story?
So yeah, I would say I'm here by accident, but I don't believe in accidents. I don't believe in coincidences as well. My story is slightly different, but so I grew up in Colombo, Sri Lanka, and while growing up, there was a need for me to actually earn money when I was 16. I was kicked out of my home for a brief period of time. And during that time, I got into entrepreneurship. I started throwing events, hiring out clubs, throwing events back then. My goal was, though, to be an astronaut. So I was always pursuing astrophysics, which led me to quantum physics. I did a lot of self-study. But I was born with this thing called a hole in your heart. It's a atrial defect. And because of that, you cannot be an astronaut, even if you get it repaired. So my dreams rather went south at that point in time. But I think it was all according to plan. And so I pursued my second passion, which was entrepreneurship and business. And I did one thing after other, just selling random stuff, random merch, from Ribena in Sri Lanka to framing to clubs, parties, events of any sort. And eventually I moved to New Zealand. Since then, I've been doing several things. I've worked in accommodation industries to now actually owning and operating accommodation businesses. I'm also doing travel, media, which is how we plugged in, because the space that he's in was related to content. Funny how we actually met. He ran an ad on Instagram, which was a swipe up. And I think that was for his coaching business where he was incubating startup companies. And I was really curious because I thought that was a well-run ad. It was not specific, but it was not too ambiguous as well. There was a call to action. And I wanted to know who ran the ad for him. I wanted to see what the team was all about. So I swiped up, DM'd him, and then we started talking. We met a few times, and I knew there was some sort of synergy. He learned about the media business that we do, and the number of content creators that we work with across the globe. And I knew he was fascinated, and I was fascinated with some of the stuff that he was saying, but we didn't have some sort of, well, it seemed like we had synergy, but we couldn't have, there was
lacking of a medium to.
That's right. And then eventually I saw Xperience, and I think at that time it was something else. It was Accelerator, was it?
Yeah, Accelerate Online.
Accelerate Online. And then we met and we spoke about his vision, like he just said. And I figured there is something to work with because he's got a dream and he's a passionate person. At this point, I was looking to invest as well, looking to invest time, money, something behind a successful project. I looked at the team that was actually working on Xperience, and I saw extremely driven individuals. And I knew there's something here. I had a similar vision, just like he said. We've got more parts coming into Xperience. So what we see right now for Xperience is actually the tip of the iceberg. We've got many solutions coming. Some even actually dealing with global warming. Some dealing with browsers, things that will rival Google, and in the Web3 space especially. So I saw the project, I saw his passion, I saw the dream, and I saw the drive, which is hard to get, especially with a leader, right? And I backed the project, and I thought I need to join the team. We should work on it, and we started talking about the idea. When we first started, I think people were just meeting randomly, sharing ideas, and then we decided to just do 1 hour every day. We met 1 hour every day, trying to improve what we had by 1% every day, which eventually led to a 365% increase difference. After 365 days, how has it been?
One and a half years.
Yeah. And so that's my story leading after this.
So that was quite a serendipitous meeting then that you guys, had to start off this kind of whole snowball chain reaction of 1% per day, stacking those bricks on bricks, and then kind of gathering other motivated, passionate individuals that are really willing to go ahead on something that to, the general public may seem like a risky investment, but we know with all the indicators and the research around decentralized finance that it's the way to go. Yeah, parts of the world are having large troubles with money being seized and frozen, and this is the only true kind of way to eliminate that and bring the human element out of the money, and I think that's amazing, and that's why I kind of joined the journey with you gentlemen, with the research, the passion. You can when you meet people, you can understand that they have a real, just something special and something packed in them that they're really trying to get out to the public and get out there and awareness. So that's amazing. Touching on, that's some of your history, and now kind of branching into more about the project itself. I understand there's multiple different layers to this project, and they're going to be, kind of sequenced out and rolled out. Maybe we could touch on some of those, key points that are going to come throughout this rollout.
Yeah, man. I just came from a meeting where we pretty much spoke about stage 1 all the way to like stage 10 of this rollout and jumping all between. So it'll be quite interesting to see what comes out. I'll sort of flow with how we're looking at so-called entering the market, who we're going to serve, and how we're going to position ourselves first. So if we look at the self-development industry, it's huge. It's booming. It's been booming for a long time, but it's also very new. It's so interesting to see the rise of literally Instagram or coaches, so online coaches. People have built multi-million-dollar coaching self-development businesses through platforms such as the Facebooks and the Instagram, and these platforms aren't even native to it. Right. So how do they translate this experience or the service is through content. They literally create their content on this content platform and serve their audience, and there's a market for it. So us being technically a content platform to begin with, integrating these future technologies, or you could say built natively with the Web3 technology, with immersive technologies, and has some sort of a development plan. We are going to be creating a space for the self-developers, or the human development platform, you could say, which I like. But it will be shaped as a lot of self-development content in specific genres, which will be seen in these orbs or categories. So it's going to be pretty much the necessary evolution of content. Just as you could see pretty much from Web 1 to Web 2, basic web pages became social media networks. Now Web 2 to Web 3, the basic social media networks are going to be the platforms and the communities and the ecosystems integrated with this kind of technology. That's sort of, I guess, the bare bones of Xperience. Maybe you could touch on either you could take it to the, where we go to from there, or even maybe like, I love what he said about money, and you have a good history of money and the exchanging of money and what place Xperience plays. So I don't know, man, which direction do you feel like pulling?
I think we should go both.
Yeah.
So when you say money, you're talking about the concept of money. Is that what it is?
Yeah, the concept of storing value.
Yeah. So that's a long story, but I'll try to brief it, right? So if you think about what money actually is, it's just an exchange of value. Back in the day, I came from a family of fishermen, and just say Shin came from a family of farmers, right? My great-grandfathers were fishermen. They taught me how to fish. I can go during a storm into the ocean and come back with all my men still alive with a full net of fish, right? That's because of the skill, the know-how, the knowledge that we've acquired through 3 generations. Shint, coming from a family of farmers, could yield crop from the ground up, and even when there's famine, still use techniques and things that he's learned through his 3 generations of knowledge to bring 5 bags of rice. And at the end of the day, I will go to Shint with 5 bags of fish. He will give me 5 bags of rice. That was the barter system. That was the exchange of value. If you truly think about it, what we're doing right now with cash is the same thing, but it just helps you exchange value at different value points. For an example, let's say there's a famine and there's scarce rice, but there's a lot of fish. That means he'll give me 1 bag of rice, but I would have to give him 20 bags of fish for the rice. That's because now rice is more valuable. And that's what cash is. However, that's one layer. That's a layer that people are fully aware of. You're probably aware of that. There are further, like so many other layers that people aren't aware of. And that is what we want to show, that humans actually are conscious living beings that aren't fully aware of what you're doing, right? And so to go into that layer deeper, let's say somebody who works at a grocery store, what do, right? So they go to the grocery store, they take items, scan them, put them in a bag and give it to the customer. And they do this repetitively every day. At the end of the day, let's say they go and they collect $100 for the work that they've done from their boss, right? So let's just assume in this example, they're just getting 100. And now they get into their car and they go home, right? To get into their car, they had to buy their car at some point, and they also had to pump fuel into the car, right? So to drive home. They get home, they open the door, and they stay inside the house, right? And at that point, they're eating, so they have to buy food. They watch Netflix, so they need to have electricity and they need to have a Netflix subscription. And you do various other things. You go to sleep, you wake up, you do the same thing. And you do this over and over again for 5 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week, and you're getting $100 every day. So now you look at that $100, what are they spending on? They're spending on fuel, on rent or for the house, for electricity, entertainment, all of these things, right? And food, right? And so now you go a layer deeper and you see, where did the food come from? Well, they ate beef. The beef came from the supermarket. The supermarket got the beef from the farmer. Where did the farmer get the beef from? Well, the farmer got it from the cow. Where did the cow get his energy from? From the grass. Where did the grass get his energy from? From earth and from the sunlight. Okay, so if the cow got his energy from the sunlight, we got the energy from the cow. Well, that means we're eating sunlight, right? Same thing, the guys who made the car that I drove, well, they had to eat, right? So they ate sunlight. So that means now they've put their energy, blood, sweat, and tears into making my car. What have they done? They've converted the sunlight energy into the car. What are fossil fuels? Fossil fuels, right? It's basically fossilized animals of the past that obviously consumed sunlight again, and we're burning that to drive. That's petrol. So everything that you see right now is energy, including myself, him, you, the electricity in this mic. We live on energy. This is an energy universe. Energy can only be transformed from one to another, and that is thermodynamics. It cannot be destroyed. If that is the case, why are we suffering? Why do we have world hunger? Why do we have all these first, third world problems? Why do we have war if we're all the same thing, right? And so Xperience Online really is a platform. It's a gateway. It's the next evolution of humanity to realize what we are. Because fundamentally, remove everything. Remove economies, politics, businesses, everything that you see here, and take all that layers away. We're just animals on a rock revolving a giant fireball, which we call the sun. That's the fundamental base layer. Everything else is a layer upon layer upon layer. Panic, fear, uncertainty, doubt, these are all human constructs of the mind. They actually don't exist. But Xperience, basically being the content platform that provides a gateway for people to talk about this unfiltered. We will have creators that will not be banned for awakening other individuals. We will have creators that will not be suppressed, shadow banned, restricted for sharing knowledge, opinions.
Truth.
Because truth, right? There you go. Truth, right? And we live in an infinite universe. What that means is I could find that, let's say beef makes you, or let's call apples, right? Apples, eating too many apples will make you go blind. If I search that on Google right now, I will find 20 articles supporting that. But if I also search eating too many apples will actually improve your eyesight, I will find 50 articles for that. We live in a universe where there is infinite possibility. What you actually believe and choose to believe will be your reality. I could live a reality where eating too many apples will make me blind, and therefore I will not eat apples, right? And you could live a completely different reality where eating too many apples will actually make your eyesight improve. And the placebo of that, and there's so many research, there's so much done out there about placebos, will actually shape my reality. I would actually lose my eyesight if I was to eat apples, and you would probably gain better eyesight if you were to eat more apples, right? And so this is how the universe works. We live in this place where you throw something up, it's going to come down. Why? There's gravity. So there is this sense of attraction. There's also entropy. There's so many things that this platform is built on. It's built based on understanding the universal algorithm. Right now, you have things like Twitter, you've got Instagram, you've got Facebook. These are algorithms that actually run our lives, right? I'll put it into perspective. I'm a human. I've got a certain amount of intelligence, if I make a computer, is that computer much more intelligent than I am or not? Probably isn't. It cannot outdo its creator, right? In that perspective, do you think the algorithms that run on Instagram, on Facebook, and all of these things can outdo the algorithm of the universe? It cannot. It's just focused. It's just more focused. So for an example, the computer can be more focused than I am. It can do maybe 20 tasks better than I can do at once, but that's all it's got. It can't paint a picture as much as I can. It can't do so many other things that I can, right? And just like that, you can have algorithms like Instagram and all these other platforms. They're very focused. They'll do one task. Now, if algorithms are different, so you have the Twitter algorithm, you've got TikTok, Facebook, very different algorithms, but they have similarities. If they're different, well, there are certain things that make them different, but can they be different to the source algorithm? In the sense that they have to abide by the laws, the universal laws. You can't go out of it. For an example, I created the computer, right? The computer still exists in my universe. So it's still subject to gravity. It's still subject to entropy and deterioration. If I leave it just sitting there over thousands of years, it'll deteriorate. It'll rust and whatnot. It's completely zero, right? Same thing. It cannot outdo the algorithm of the universe. This platform really takes down to truth. It takes you down to the algorithm of the universe, right? It is about improving consciousness, about humanity. Instagram, in its small way, has actually contributed towards the evolution of consciousness. It has, right? You've also got the other side of Instagram, of course. You've got the other side of the world too. You've got good and bad and whatnot. And the point of Xperience is to empower free speech. And why empower free speech? So that the truth can come out, so that people can be talking about what's here. Because ultimately, we can't speak about something that actually doesn't exist, because everything exists. You can look at the multiverse theory that almost everything can exist and will exist. If the universe is infinite, the place that we live in, then all opinions do matter, because an opinion is just simply another person's point of view, right? For an example, you're wearing a black shirt, but to me, it could be dark blue. Shine a different light on it, and it might be darker blue. The night sky that you look at, it's actually not black. It's dark blue. But my point of view is that it's black. So, yeah, that's Xperience, and there's a lot to it, and there's so many layers to it. We're excited that Web3 is actually going to bring about so much a change. I truly believe that Xperience is actually leading the way. There's no other platform that's doing what we're doing right now. And they probably haven't heard of us. They might have. But Xperience has got a lot of kick behind it. And it's going to be hard for lots of platforms to keep up, because they won't understand, and they probably don't understand. They don't understand how this place works. I mean, you just got a bunch of computer programmers that will program it, but they're not really working with nature, right? Funny, it is nature. The computer that we have right now, people always say that's technology. I say that's actually nature, because the computer is made of metal, copper, and whatnot. Glass. What is glass? Just sand grounded, heated together, and it's made glass, right? Every component on the computer is actually from nature. The possibility of a computer existing, even during caveman times, was there. It was still possible. They just didn't discover it. Their consciousness wasn't elevated enough, or they hadn't really discovered, if I take these particles, these elements, and put them together in such a way and write some code, I have a computer. So the possibility of time travel also already exists, technically then, right? All things exist at the same time. And so there's a lot of content. I can keep talking for ages, but the platform is revolutionary. It's going to change the way money works. It's going to change the way content works. And when I say change, it's not much of a change, because everything already is. But yes, it will be change to the way we actually earn from content right now. It's going to change how advertisers advertise. And yeah, it's exciting because it decentralizes a lot of things. It cuts the middleman and gives power to the people, built by source for source is what I call it.
Yeah, so something that I wanted to touch on is kind of really the core of how Experience Online is different. Experience is different is that you're not just harnessing and milking and then kind of just squeezing all the life out of your consumer, and they're actually going to be rewarded. You know, they're going to be able to receive these tokens for watching countless hours of videos or getting invested into all of these different types of content. And that right now, there isn't any solution that is currently doing that. And that's going to, you know, with the NFT and Metaverse blockchain technology, you can kind of integrate that in a way that wasn't possible a year ago. That wasn't possible 2 years ago. Even the potential was there, you know, but it wasn't actually actioned on. And then now we've finally got enough of the world kind of understanding the blockchain technology to make that sustainable. And, you know, now's the perfect time to launch a great product and company like this. And touching on the phases, so I know that we have, you know, starts off with a land opportunity. You're able to get your hand on some land, which will earn you a place in this whole ecosystem. And then from there, you're able to then kind of kicks in the whole kind of monetization model and activates the customer being able to earn. And then it also stems on from that. Do you want to touch briefly on kind of how each part of the experience interacts with each other and molds together to make one system?
100%, bro. To sprinkle a little bit, you know, I love what you said about the computer was actually available in caveman times. Like, actually, that's actually true. That's the mind-blowing thing about it. So it's quite cool to set like all of the universal truth that you just shared. Why Experience is ripe and happening now is because you could say the collective consciousness has come to a point where this is discoverable now. A potential where I can scroll on my phone and get paid for it for scrolling or paid for attention is discoverable now. And hence what we're doing here, right? So the stage one is understanding that everything is energy and everything is sunlight, and sunlight technically somewhere down the line is $100 note, technically, right? So in knowing that, how do we bridge that gap with where humanity is now, right? And these platforms are pretty much key. So the natural development of a platform is adding another layer of this universal truth onto the platform model that is to create an experience. So where our platform starts in stage one is everything is creation. All content is creation. Funnily, it's called content creation. What is content? Content is just whatever concept or what I'm saying right now is being delivered through me. Like, where is the source or the single point of the insight that's coming through me? And then this insight, wherever it's coming from, is almost my intellectual property in each moment. Right. And it holds a certain amount of value depending on how much it moves a person or how much it aligns with a certain person's values and opinions and, you know, concepts of life. So understanding this is content is key, and the unique ownership and authenticity and intellectual property with content. We wanted to start by giving all creators an opportunity to create with Experience Creator. So Experience Creator is almost like the back-end solution where you look at like a Facebook business suite or a YouTube creator studio. It's going to be the dashboard where creators upload their content, play with a couple of settings, like how much do they want to price their content if they do want to price it, what genre or category does it fall under, and they get to explore. One interesting thing with you'll notice with Instagram, everyone notice with social media, is the type of content that trends and goes viral is always shifting with the tide of the platform and of humanity, right? From long form to short form to what kind of short form to having music in the background to having this filter. It's always moving with natural market forces. So we're looking at creating a space for all of these creators to jump on board, own a percentage of the land. Because again, what ownership does a creator on Instagram actually have? Your account can get banned, and I'm pretty sure your handle or your tag can get swiped at any time, right? So they don't really own this asset that they've built. They might have created an account and monetized it, and that may be a core pivotal part, their Instagram account in a lot of their businesses or a lot of their livelihood and their service they give to the world. But if it can just be taken at any moment, do they even own their IP, right? So at Experience Creator, the land just signifies that you have ownership of this platform, this profile, and this asset generating asset that you're creating. So a user can come on board, stake their claim of this is my space, and start creating in this space. And we want to make it easily and accessible as possible, that any big YouTube creator can easily migrate their content over. And we want to incentivize it that we're going to give them something that, let's just say, YouTube doesn't give them, which is freedom of speech, which is another tier of ownership, which is tokens for their content, and even just other layers of what kinds of things you can mint on a blockchain, certain NFTs via content. And also another big part of that is, why would they be incentivized along with all of that, is they can finally give their audience the chance to earn. Because up until now, you've sort of been harvesting your audience, right? The creator harvests their audience to get obviously paid, and the platform harvests the audience too, so they get paid. So it's almost like the platform and the creator working with this unconscious individual that's just scrolling, almost like we're plugged into a matrix, right? And the phone is just doing this all day. But now you get a chance to actually give back to those people that have been paying you and giving to you, and awakening your own audience. Because especially any content creator that is passionate, especially in the self-development space, they want the best for their users, their audience, and their so-called clients. But the platform and the system is just set up in a way where it's almost like the cards are stacked against that, right? As much as you're giving them this insight and this knowledge and this truth, you're also programming them to just be instant gratification machines. So we have a lot of things when it comes to delayed gratification, giving back to the user, making sure the creator has ownership. These are all core things tied in, but it all starts with almost you could call it a first wave of onboarding of creators to allow this creation process to start and allow them to seamlessly migrate the users over, so we can start benefiting both parties. That's sort of like the initial stages of the rollout.
Like real quickly, the point you touch on, it's giving, Web3 is bringing personal governance and giving their identity out to every customer, and that comes with pros and cons. Like in the old system, it's if you have a centralized network, they then are also kind of picking the terms at which you're able to digest it and push out this content. But yeah, by enabling people with this token or this unique ID, you're able to then explore the whole new ecosystem of having original ownership of your own assets and personal accountability, which is it's going to be a small bit of a learning curve, but yeah, once the whole kind of world adopts that and understands that, that's where we're going to have real massive growth, I think.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on a few things that Shane said, so that it'll make a bit more, it'll be a bit more relevant, and that people in the Web2 space can understand a bit better. So the land that we're selling is basically an NFT. It's a land plot. What it actually signifies is server space. So when you buy a land plot, you've essentially bought that server space. I don't own it. Xperience doesn't own it. You own it, right? So all the data that's on there, you own it. We can't pull it, right? Unless you're killing people and you're doing something that's against our very few terms of service. We can't do anything about it, right? We can only just stop sharing your content on our platform, but you still own that content. And so that's essentially true freedom. That's actually true decentralization. Right now, no, there's no platform that has that, right? Secondly, the currency is decentralized, and all assets, including the orbs, are all decentralized, right? And there are decentralized ways of earning. You can be a creator, and you can also be not a creator, but a viewer, an audience member of audience, or a fan of somebody, or follower, and still earn. But if you really think about it, all followers are creators. You've got an Instagram account, right? You create. You're a content creator. Let's say I'm an individual that isn't a content creator. I still upload pictures. I still upload stories. I am creating content. That's content, right? So we're all content creators. We're all creators, but we're also all audiences. We're all watching each other. We're learning from each other. Like you can look at, let's take Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson follows Will Smith. They're both content creators, but they still watch each other's stuff, right? And so it's an entire ecosystem that enables true decentralization of money to content and everything else. And so that's the importance of understanding what a land plot truly means, that it is just server space, right? And you can do so many things with a land plot. Later on, you'll see many different updates roll out. The other thing is it also empowers creators to actually, and this is our layer 2, it empowers creators to be able to launch if you don't have money. There's a layer 2 solution that comes through where you've got great content. We have a solution for that as well. You don't need to go to Warner Brothers. You don't need to go to UMG. You don't have to waste your time or take your ideas to the grave. Most people sit on their ideas and take it to the grave. There's a lot more value in the graves today than there is walking about, because there's so many people that have died with great ideas. And that's what we want to enable, to accelerate that. Right now, there's a lot of gatekeeping. There has been gatekeeping for centuries with the people that want to gatekeep. And today, with the introduction of Web3, actually with the introduction of crypto, right? The anonymous release of the technology of cryptocurrency really threw a spanner in the works of how the world was running. And I'd be surprised, if this was divine intervention, if you want to call it that, right? Or if there's some sort of higher power that did it, because it's brilliant, right? And it paves the way for Web3. It accelerated so much, right? Cryptocurrency probably can single-handedly uplift economies. People don't realize that, and banks don't want to talk about that. But a solution to a recession, we already have it. It's just that we're not partaking in it because we don't want to yield power. There's so many things I could talk about right now, but Xperience really is the leader that will pave this way for creators, content. Why content? You might ask me, why content? What's so special about content? We've been doing this for thousands of years, for millennia. We've been drawing on caves. That's content. Content is a forever thing. It will last past your lifetime. So, example, Michael Jackson. He's gone, but his content is still making money. Whoever who owns the rights to his music is making money. It's still running. You've got Elvis. You've got so many other creators that have gone. They're still making money. Authors that have written books, we still read them. I mean, look at the Bible, 3,000 years old or whatever, amount of years old. There's so much of content out there. So content is the exchange of ideas, the exchange of one person's reality to another. And it is what actually keeps everything going. Today, what keeps the world going around? Content. Nothing else if you think about it. Content and the internet. The ability to share content. Flights don't take off if the internet is down. This is a very known thing right now because it's dangerous. We rely on the internet. We rely on the exchange of content. And it's an accelerant because it enables my mind to speak to your mind. It enables my consciousness to speak to your mind, your consciousness. Whether it's in direct, communication, written, or art, or a movie, or a song, or a book, or a podcast, right? And that is, I just wanted to add that to everything that Shen said. And yeah.
I want to add one thing you said. You wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin was a divine intervention. And it's interesting, because what does Mother Nature do when everything is out of balance? It resets everything. Like that's where a natural event or a natural disaster happens. A big flood, all the times the world have ended has pretty much just been a natural reset to the world. Everything happens in cycles. And the thing with decentralization, centralization is pretty much just means of control to create some sort of a foundation. With full decentralization and zero centralization, zero control, there'll probably be chaos. There has to be some sort of order. But it's like the tipping of the tide can be quite simple, quite obvious, where there's means of control, and then there's banks and Federal Reserve, and then printing money, and then control, and then governments, and then it's almost like the means of control got to a tipping point that Mother Nature introduced something in form of money to bring more decentralization. So as much as decentralization is like a buzzword, right? I think also knowing that if there was complete decentralization, there'd be chaos. There just has to be almost a centralized decentralization, but being very mindful of what is in charge of that centralization, or what is in charge of who dictates those terms. So that's sort of like, we do understand there has to be means of control, but that's something that I think, again, is a continually moving slider or a puzzle piece, you know?
So it's kind of who holds the keys to these kingdom, you know, who's setting up the rules, and then how are they kind of maintained moving forward. I know that a lot of decentralized projects are kind of doing more of a voting system and giving power back to the community. And they're also kind of trying to eliminate the old Web 2 model of being heavily reliant on publishers and other third-party companies that come in and take majority of their profit share. And I know that you were speaking of content like Michael Jackson previously, and all these kind of great musicians before us. If they had some sort of blockchain Web3 contract on that, you know, they could getting those royalties. Just, you know, there wouldn't be any third party company owning their rights, and it's all on the blockchain. That's and right. Just, you know, storing their information so much more efficiently. So, you know, tapping into these technologies early and kind of, you know, setting yourself in and building a strong community behind us, it's only going to continue to grow. And I know that that's the vision here. And so what kind of in the near future, or maybe in, you know, moving into the down the line a little bit, what kind of exciting stuff do we have in store, you know, coming up? Like what's our go-to kind of rollout plan? What should we look forward to? What are you looking forward to the most? And you know, where will we find you? Where would we follow you? Where would we find updates and things like that?
Cool. Yeah. Man, I would say we've been building for on Xperience 1.5 to 2 years. But again, our stories, it's almost like we've been building, building for a lifetime towards this. And that's just 2 of the members. There's you know, another 4 co-founders, and our extended team is quite deep. All interestingly, uniquely brought to this one point, right? So we sort of had our first light public showcase at the Australian CryptoCon in September, was it? Yeah, in September. And it's interesting because you never really know with a project of this magnitude what is ready, you know, when it's ready. So we thought, hey, let's put it out there. And we were quite blown away of how ready we are, and how you could even say dominant our approaches in terms of unique. You know, there's a lot of repetitive cookie cutter systems out there, you know, of people following hype and people following trend. So that was pretty much a massive validator to us in September, which is only 2 months ago now, where we're like, okay, wow. Obviously we have something, but it's very ready. So from there, we've pretty much started speaking to a couple of potential lead investors and people that want to partner with our project. And we've sort of identified that another short development cycle, maybe 8 weeks or something, can get our project to a point where it's ready, not just for a consumer, not just for a creator, but for longevity. That's probably the biggest thing we've seen, is that with Web 3 and tokenomics being such a new space that's literally being regulated as we speak, right? With what's happening right now, longevity is an interesting topic. You know, what can dictate a project to be alive for the next 30 years plus? And it's these kinds of powerhouses that have been plugging into our project and becoming strategic partners and advisors of ours that are now bringing that insight to just almost do a quick further fortification of Xperience before we bring it into market. So what I see is a full focus on fortifying this project, this economy, and the approach we're taking. And, you know, a lot of it has been in-house right now. So also being open to external perspectives to challenge our own ideas, so we're not fixed-minded. We're going to be doing a big development cycle through November, through December. And as we enter the end of the year and start entering early January, we're going to most likely look at either opening, probably both in parallel, opening up our first wave to creators, so first wave of creators, and onboarding them and making this platform accessible on probably some sort of a beta version. and also speaking with our first round of investors to get the financial backing and the resources to bring a project of this magnitude to life, and also giving the investor an opportunity to align with something like this, because we feel our investor is not just we're not interested in empty cash, but we're interested in the specific parties with skill sets and expertise that can align with us to get this where it's naturally going to go. So yeah, November and December, head down, fortifying a lot of things, building communities, and that sort of brings us to where can you keep up with our project on Discord. You can search up our server Xperience with an X. You literally just search that. So discord.gg/Xperience. That's our Discord. But if you check us out on Instagram, which is just literally Xperience.io, we have all of our stuff, latest updates of the project and everything there. But soon enough, it's going to be hard not to see us. I'll say that.
Awesome. So those are the two easiest to find you, but pretty much we're going to be rolling out on all platforms.
Yeah, Twitter,
shortly.
Telegram,
and Xperience is the handle.
100%.
For the most part.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. And just kind of tapping onto that, was there anything you wanted to add in regards to the rollout, or what's your favorite part, Dylan? Like, what are you looking forward to most out of this whole kind of aspect?
Yeah. So, like he said, right, you're never ready. Like, if you look at Twitter, it's not ready. It has never been ready, and that's why Elon Musk is doing so many changes, and it will never be ready. We're always constantly evolving and growing. My favorite part is the journey, because it doesn't end. And at the same time, while I say my favorite part is the journey, the destination is also now. We're already here. It's already there, right? The journey, just enjoying the process, it will never end. Xperience will never shut its doors. There's no such thing as failure. It's a human construct, right? Like, for an example, you start a business and it doesn't work out, you shut it. Nobody pointed their fingers at you and said you're a failure. You decided in your head, oh, it's not working out, I should just stop it. Failure is a human construct. It does not exist. Experience, it's always going to evolve and always going to be there. So yeah, my favorite part is the journey, and just seeing how it helps humanity.
I guess adding on to that, it's the kind of classic story of the man, who enjoys walking will get further than the one who enjoys the
100%.
destination. Yeah, it's kind of finding your happy space and continually working as hard as possible on a common goal with your group of teammates. And I think that's where I kind of fell in love with the Web3 and the whole kind of collaborative experience too. You're able to tap into the whole world now, with the internet and Web3. You can talk to someone on the other hemisphere while you're kind of dressed in whatever, in your nightie, your gown or whatever, in your bedroom. And that's just opened the door for so many talented creators and talented business people to be able to just contact each other at the snap of our fingers and build all this new technology.
Yeah.
So I'm awesome. Like, hearing more about Xperience and getting to know you guys, and I'm sure we'll keep an eye out for so much more to come.
I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my